Hi, this is Judy from Witch Piece Craft. One of my subscribers asked me to do 10 non-yarny things about me. Excuse me, my nose is itching. I wasn't sure I would because I didn't think I was that interesting, but I've had some encouragement, so I've decided to give it a go. So here we go. Number 1. I live in Cairns, far north Queensland, Australia. It's up towards the top of the east coast of Australia and home to the Great Barrier Reef. If you want some interesting reading, Google the Great Barrier Reef. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Number 2. I have 2 sons. My eldest son will be 40 next year and lives in London. He became a UK citizen, he's a teacher, and he's settled there with his partner and very happy. My youngest son will be 35 next week and lives in Cairns. He's a graphic designer. He's trying to teach me video editing and graphic design and tearing his hair out. I probably wishes he lived in London. No daughters. After 4 miscarriages, we decided we were blessed with 2 boys and we should be happy. No grandchildren to date. Number 3. My parents immigrated from Rotherham, Yorkshire, England with 9 children, and number 10 was born here. I have 3 sisters and 6 brothers. Well, I had 6 brothers. 2 have passed away. 2 years ago, my eldest brother passed away from an accident. He was retired and lived alone. He fell into a confined space and wasn't found for 2.5 days. He later died of organ failure. So my message to you is, if you live near someone who lives alone and you don't see them, knock on the door, check on them, make sure they're okay. My youngest brother committed suicide. All I will say on that is, suicide changes a family forever. Other hobbies. Besides knitting and crocheting, I love gardening. I like to grow crops, but I'm not very good at it, and it's very difficult in the tropics. I have success with pineapples, sweet potato, daikon radish, sometimes pumpkins, but not a great deal of success with other crops. But I'm still trying. I find gardening relaxing when I can't crochet, and it does inspire me to do projects for crochet or knitting. Excuse me, hiccups. Number 5, my biggest passion. I love polar bears. I don't know when it started. I don't know why. I just love polar bears. For my 50th birthday, my husband took me on a trip. We circumnavigated Spitsbergen. We cruised into the Arctic Circle, almost to the North Pole, saw a solar eclipse, came back, drove around Norway, Finland, and Sweden. I saw polar bear in the wild, walrus, the midnight sun, Arctic fox, bird life you wouldn't believe, beluga whale. I loved it. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat, if I could afford it. I have a ceramic polar bear collection. My first piece I collected in Copenhagen in an antique shop. I nursed it home in my hand luggage and no one was allowed to touch it. The only fabric type polar bear I have is a stiff polar bear, which I bought in an antique shop in Invergordon, Scotland. So there you have it. I am madly passionate about polar bears. I am a member of the Polar Bear Society in Hammerfest, Norway. So was Elvis Presley. Music and TV. I like all genres of music, from opera to Eminem. But I have one particular artist I am a big fan of, and that's Pink. Yes, Pink. I love her music. I've seen her in concert. I love her philosophy on life. I'm sure she'd prefer a younger fan, but sorry, Pink, I'm sticking with you. I really like her. TV. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do enjoy UK TV, mainly thrillers. I'm not into Midsummer Murders and Doc Martin and all of that, but I do enjoy my UK TV. Addiction. I'm addicted to tea. Loose leaf tea in teapots. I have a small collection of teapots, and most of you will know by now I love making tea cozies. I love tea. Maybe that's my English heritage still flowing through my blood. My pet peeves. What I dislike. I really dislike being called sweetie, doll, love, especially by a 20-something shop assistant. My son says my face is priceless when they call me that. He said if looks could kill, they'd drop dead on the spot. I really detest it. It's demeaning. I think it's patronizing. I really don't like it. Mainly it happens in Australia. I don't think it's ever happened to me in overseas, so maybe it's an Australian thing. Sweetie, doll, love. God, I hate it. But my biggest pet peeve is being called peeps. I hate being called a peep. We had a knitting group and it was organised by a younger woman, and she used to call us her baby peeps, and I hated it. And then some of the other ladies told me they didn't like it. But before we got to tell her, she cancelled the knitting group and it fell apart. I've since found out she's in the mental health ward at the hospital, and that's really sad, so I hope she gets better soon. Number 8, my charity work. I do a lot of charity work. I knit, I crochet, whatever I can for any charity. I volunteer every Christmas time to do gift wrapping at the local shopping centre for donations for the local hospital. On average, we've raised $21,000 each year, and I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. But I like doing things for charity. My friend calls me a charity tart, which means I'm pretty much anybody's if they're a charity and they need help. That's just me. I'm probably the way I was brought up. Travel. Since I retired from my corporate job, I've been traveling, and I love to travel. My TripAdvisor map says I've done nearly 12% of the world. The first trip was to China with friends. My husband was still working. I make a lot of friends when I travel. On that trip, I met Amanda from Liverpool and Paul and Wayne from York. Paul and Wayne were here in February having a holiday, and I showed them around. I've caught up with them in the UK. They're great friends. So is Amanda. I'll catch up with her this year. Around Italy, I met Nalima from Dallas. We had a ball. We just laughed so much. She's a doctor in Dallas. On that trip, we also met Ralph and Betty from Vancouver Island. Betty sends me photos of the island and the different seasons. I'd love to visit there. I'm in touch with all of them, either through Skype or through Facebook. On my trip around Scotland, Wales and Ireland, I met Bob and Cheryl from Arizona. We met in Dublin. We shared a table for lunch and hit it off and spent most of the trip together. We just laughed all the time, and we're in touch on Facebook and Skype all the time. We're trying to plan the trip to Alaska, but we need Bob to retire so he can get enough time off to go. So there you have it. I love to travel, I love to see different cultures, and I love to meet new people. That's my 10 non-yarny things. I hope you found them interesting. In summary, I'll say we all have battle scars. We've all had a roller coaster of a life with emotions, some of them sad, some of them happy. But I feel that the bad things happen to you and you need to get to the good place. And in between is the gap. And to get to the good place, you need to spend enough time in that gap, grieving, clearing your head, and getting in the right mindset to get to the good place. I had an old friend who used to be my boss, named Peter. He's passed away. We were both going through some really difficult times, and he said to me, you just have to endure until you can make it to the good place. So on my wrist is tattooed, to endure life, and I always think of him when I'm down and battle on. I try every day to have one positive thought, even if it's as simple as the sun is shining.
I don't know what you mean by...
Sorry, that was my iPad. Even if it's as simple as the sun is shining and it isn't raining, because it rains a lot here. So try to be kind to each other. Have one positive thought a day, no matter how bad things are. And I'll see you next time. To my Yarny friends, have a crafty day.